Hey, what's up everybody? This is a something old, something new review, and today I'll be looking at the vintage 1980s Leia versus the more modern Vintage Collection Leia. Of course, these both are in the Bounty Hunter, I believe it's pronounced Bouche or Bausch disguise. This is the disguise, of course, that Leia wears when she goes into Jabba's throne room to try to rescue Han Solo. So, looking at the vintage 1980s figure, you can see it does come with a really nicely detailed weapon, actually. You can see there. And looking at the figure itself, it actually is pretty nicely detailed. Now, of course, you can't expect a whole lot of articulation from a figure of this vintage. We can take a look at the head. You can see there. And she does have a little bun at the back. Articulation is very, very basic. Swivel neck, swivel shoulders, and swivel thigh or hips. And that is all you have for articulation. So, very basic. And we can take a look at the more modern figure here, the Vintage Collection Leia, and just kind of compare the two together. I'll go ahead and take out the weapon here, and you can see the comparison of the two. Now, one thing to note about this figure is the newer Leia is very, very much shorter. Than the older 1980s vintage figure. So hopefully you can see that there. And it's actually worth comparing this figure with another modern figure. This is the young Boba Fett figure. Now, here is where it gets really, really crazy in terms of how small or how short this figure is. Here they are back to back, and you can see you've got young Boba Fett on the right, and you have what I would assume to be the full-grown Princess Leia figure, and they are about the same height. I don't really think that Leia was that short. I could be wrong, but it just kind of seems to me to be a little bit odd. Another comparison, here's a clone trooper, and you can see there is a definite size, or rather height difference, as you can see there. So definitely a small figure here. But yeah, you can see there's definitely some similarities between the old and the new. Of course, the helmet does remove. This is a better head sculpt, I would say, and you'd expect that because it's, you know, a more modern figure. You can compare the two side by side there. But yeah, you know, as far as the articulation, of course, you'd expect greater articulation in this newer figure. But first we can take a look at some of the details here. She does have a thermonuclear detonator, if you can make that out in your hand. And it actually is removable. It actually pegs into her palm, and there's a peg there, as you can see. So we'll take that out and set that to the side so we don't lose it. Articulation wise, the head appears to be on a ball joint. You have the shoulders that can go around and out to the side, as you can see there. You have this really weird joint here at the elbow. It actually just came out there. You can see it's a peg and a hole, and there is a swivel at the wrist. Let's see, waist articulation. Yeah, there's waist articulation, as you can see there. There's a little stiff there. The legs themselves appear to be just a swivel joint. So forward and just a little bit back. Of course, the movement is hindered by this cloak here. This is a pretty hard plastic here, and so the legs can go forward just a bit. You know, nothing really to the side because, after all, it's just a swivel joint. Swivel and a bend, as you can see at the knee, and yeah, that's all you have for articulation. I thought there would be more, but it kind of looked like there would be a joint here, but nope, that's all you get for articulation for the new figure. But, you know, pretty nicely detailed. I guess really the big issue I have with this figure, this new Leia figure, is the height. You know, again, comparing the height between the two, we have that difference there. A little close-up of that, you can see. So moving on to accessories, of course, the new Vintage Collection figure comes with this bendable weapon. I much prefer the hard plastic from the 1980s figure. This is much better, and you can see actually is longer. It's bent, of course, because it was warped in packaging, so I'm not really impressed with this particular weapon. Accessories, well, you get a card for the card game. You get the die that goes along with that card game, and this figure came with a bunch of weapons that were included with the figure. So let's go ahead and just take out these and look at them really quickly. You can see here we got this nice, cool looking weapon. Not very detailed, but since it's included with the figure, what do you expect? You get this smaller weapon here, this really, really small weapon here. You can see some blaster type of weapon or rifle, blaster, and this type of weapon. This is probably the worst of the bunch. It's very, very basic, but you know, it's basically included with the figure. You get the stand, of course, nothing fancy. Alright, well, this has been a review of the, well, it's been a something old, something new review of the two figures here. We've got the vintage 1980s Leia and the new Leia figure. I'm not really impressed with this one. I don't know why this particular figure is so short. I really don't know why. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and like I said before, a something old, something new review. Leia in Bouche disguise.